Yeah, I love performing at the wineries. You know, last time I did a gig, this lady came up to me after the show and she said, Patrick, I want to tell you, your jokes were the funniest jokes I've ever heard. And your timing on every joke was perfect. And your stage presence was magnificent, electrifying. I said, wow, thanks, Mom. Wow. So, Sebastian didn't tell you, I live up in the Oasis up in Menifee, and it's an over 55 community. And it's been around about 18 years. So we have a lot of older people up there, and as you all know, women live longer than men, so we have a lot of widows up there. And one day I was at the clubhouse, to give you an example, it's hard for them to hook up because all the men, you know, they die off. But I was sitting in the clubhouse with this Jewish widow lady friend of mine, and this guy came and sat about 3 feet away from me, and she looked over and she said, so, you must be new here. He said, no, I bought a house in here 15 years ago. She goes, well, I've been here 8 years. I haven't seen you. He said, well, I've been in prison. She's intrigued. She goes, really? What for? He goes, well, I strangled my wife, then I shot her, then I cut her body up in pieces and threw it in the river. She hesitates for a minute. She goes, so, you're single? So the next day she goes down the street to see a friend of hers, and she says, you know, that new guy that moved in down the street, he asked me out for a date. She goes, I know you went out with him last week. I want to ask you, what was it like? She goes, well, I'll be honest with you. He showed up punctually at my door at 7 o'clock. He was wearing a nice suit. I put on a beautiful new dress. We walked outside. There was a uniformed chauffeur with a limousine. We went to the nicest restaurant in town. We had champagne, caviar, lobster, a couple of after-dinner drinks. Then we moved back to my place, and I'll tell you, once we got there, he became an animal. He ripped off my new dress and had his way with me right there on the sofa. So her friend says, well, you're saying I shouldn't go out with him? She goes, no, I'm just saying wear an old dress. So about a week later, these two ladies are out and they're walking their dogs downtown. It's a really hot day. And they pass the bar, and one of them says, hey, let's go in there and have a cool drink. We'll cool off. She goes, they're not going to let us in there with the dogs. She goes, follow my lead. So she walks into the bar. Sure enough, the bartender says, lady, there's no dogs allowed in here. She goes, I'm blind. This is my seeing eye dog. He goes, oh, I'm sorry. Have a seat. What can I get you? A minute later, her friend walks in. Again, the bartender says, lady, there's no dogs allowed in here. She said, I'm blind. This is my seeing eye dog. He said, lady, it's a Chihuahua. She goes, what? They gave you a Chihuahua? So I have a Jewish banker friend of mine that lives in there. He's pretty wealthy, but Morty and I have been friends for a long time. We were out in this boat one day, and the boat started to sink. And Morty says to me, Patrick, you know I don't swim so well. I said, Morty, don't worry about it. I took a life-saving class in high school. If you just float, I can pull you into shore. So 20 minutes later, I'm laboring, but I think it's my buddy Morty, so I keep going. Finally, we get 50 feet from shore, and I am totally exhausted, folks. So I stopped and I said, Morty, we're 50 feet from shore. I'm totally exhausted. Do you suppose you could float alone? He said, Patrick, it's a hell of a time to be asking for money. Now, Morty, I didn't tell you this about him. Not only was he a very wealthy banker, he's also a philanderer, and he was having this little affair with this Italian lady. And of course, she became with child, and she told him, and he said, oh my God, you can't tell anybody, it's gonna ruin my reputation, and my wife will kill me. And he goes, I tell you what, I'll give you $1 million. You go to Italy, have the baby over there. When you have it, you let me know, I'll send you child support. She thinks, oh, that's a good deal for me. But how am I gonna let you know the baby's arrived? He said, be very discreet. Send me a plain postcard and just put spaghetti on it. So 7 months later, he goes in his house. His wife says to him, honey, you got this weird postcard. He takes a look at it and he faints on the spot. His wife picks up the postcard. She looks at it. It says, spaghetti, spaghetti, spaghetti. 2 with meatballs, 1 without. Send lots more sauce. I don't know if you heard, there was a robbery up at a bank in Menifee yesterday, and it turns out this guy walked in and he was wearing one of those bandanas covering his face. The bandana slips a little bit, so he looks at the first teller. He says, "Did you see my face?" Kid says, "Just a glimpse." Bang, he shoots him dead. He looks at the second teller. "Did you see my face?" Guy says, "I just caught a glimpse." Bang, he shoots him dead. He looks at this Jewish guy with his wife. He said, "Sir, did you see my face?" He goes, "No, I didn't, but my wife did." So I had another friend of mine, Charlie. We were out in the boat one day. We were drinking and fishing. Well, we were mostly drinking. And after a few beers, Charlie looks at me and he goes, "Patrick, I'm thinking about divorcing my wife. She hasn't talked to me in 3 months." I took a sip of beer and I said, "Charlie, you might want to rethink that. Good women like that are hard to find." So a week later, Charlie and I go hunting, and we're out in the woods, and it's getting dark, and we're traipsing through the woods, and Charlie says, "Hold it right there." I stopped, I looked down. I'm 5 inches away from this big hole, at least 5 feet across. Charlie spits down the hole. "We can't hear a hit bottom." He said, "I wonder how deep that is." I said, "I don't know. Get something to throw down there." He comes back with a concrete block. He pushes it over the edge. We're waiting to hear it hit bottom, and all of a sudden this goat comes running by us as fast as it could run, and it jumps in the hole. I went, "Wow, this is spooky, Charlie. Let's get out of here." So we turn and we're walking out of the woods, and this farmer stops us. He goes, "Hey, hunters, have you seen my goat?" I said, "Yeah, he came running by me at 100 miles an hour, and he jumped in a big hole back there." The guy says, "That's impossible. I had him tied to a concrete block." So we were kind of spooked out about this. So on the way back to town, Charlie and I stopped in a bar. We're having a beer. All of a sudden, Charlie nudges me. He points. He goes, "Hey, look at those 2 old guys over there. In 10 years, that's going to be us." I said, "Charlie, you idiot, that's a mirror." You know, I'll tell you, seriously, it's no fun getting old, folks. I mean, everything goes. Your hair, your eyesight, your hearing, your knees, and everything just goes, you know. The other day I went to the dentist. He took a look in my mouth. He goes, "Patrick, you've got the biggest cavity I've ever seen. You've got the biggest cavity I've ever seen." I said, "Doctor, you didn't have to repeat it. I heard you the first time." He said, "I didn't repeat it. It was an echo." God, I used to live for sex. Now I die for some. You older guys out there, you know what I'm talking about. You get older, you lose your vim, your vigor. You just don't have the same energy, you know. Yesterday, my wife said to me, "Honey, let's go upstairs and make love." I said, "Pick one, baby. I can't do both." Even my grandson got in the act. He came to me the other day. He says, "Papa, can you make a noise like a frog?" I said, "Like a frog? Why?" He says, "Well, Grandma says as soon as you croak, we're all going to Hawaii." So my lovely wife is over there. She's really talented. But before I met her and married her, I was dating this younger lady, and I wanted to impress her. So Saturday morning, I took her over to the jewelry store. I said, "I want a nice diamond ring for my girlfriend." The guy brings out a ring. He goes, "Sir, this one's $1,500. She said, "I like it." I said, "No, that's not good enough for you. Show me something better." He comes out with another ring. He says, "Sir, this one's $8,000. She goes, "Oh, I really like it." I said, "No, that's not good enough for you either. Show me the best you got." This guy brings out a flawless 4-carat diamond. He said, "Sir, this one's $40,000. She almost swooned when I said, "I'll take it." I wrote out a check, $40,000. I said to the guy, "I know it's Saturday, but Monday morning, you go down and cash this check, and Monday afternoon, I'll come in and pick up the ring." He said, "Fine." He calls me on Monday morning. He goes, "Mr. Wyatt," he says, "I tried to cash that check. You don't have any money in the account." I said, "I know that, but I had a hell of a weekend." Yeah, that's right. Anybody out there have any younger brothers or sisters? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about then. I spent most of my life, folks, wondering why I didn't look like my younger brother or sister. So finally I worked up the nerve. I asked my mom, I said, "Mom, was I adopted?" She looked up at me with tears in her eyes, and she said, yes, son, you were, but it didn't work out, and they brought you back. Yeah, my wife and I like dogs. We got a new dog, and I had to go down to the mall, and I put the dog in the car. We got down there, and it was a real hot day, so I cracked the window about that far. But I wanted the dog to get used to staying in the car without me. So after I locked the door, I'm backing away, and I said, stay, stay. Do you hear me? Stay. At that point, a drunk is walking behind me, and he looks, and he goes, sir, why don't you just put it in park? Yeah, I was in a bar the other day. I had a drink in front of me, and this big, burly biker, mean-looking dude came up. He grabbed my drink. He tossed it down with one shot, and he goes, there, I drank your drink. What are you going to do about it? I said, actually, I started to cry. He said, don't cry. He said, I hate to see a grown man cry. I said, I don't think you understand, partner. I said, this has been the roughest day of my life. I said, I was late for a meeting at work. My boss fired me. I went out to get in the car. Somebody stole my car. I had no insurance. I took a cab home. I left my wallet in the cab. I walked in my house. My wife is doing you know what with my best friend. My own dog came over and bit me on the leg. So I came in this bar hoping to end it all. So I ordered a drink, and I put the cyanide capsule in the drink, and you came up and drank it. But enough about my day. How's your day going? We had a new Stater Brothers. You guys have Stater Brothers? Yeah. So we had a new one open up, and one of the guys from the Oasis went in there in the produce department, and he said to the kid, I want a half a head of lettuce. The kid said, sir, we only sell whole heads of lettuce. He goes, no, you don't understand. I have a recipe. I want half a head of lettuce. The kid says, let me go talk to my manager. He goes in the back. The manager says, what's up? He goes, some idiot out there wants to buy half a head of lettuce. He turns around, the guy's standing right behind him. And he says, and this kind gentleman has graciously offered to buy the other half. So the customer leaves. The manager looks at the kid and he goes, you know, son, he said, you got yourself out of a tough jam there by thinking quick on your feet. He goes, where are you from? Kid says, Canada, sir. He says, well, why'd you come down here from Canada? Kid says, there's nothing up in Canada but prostitutes and hockey players. Manager says, my wife is from Canada. He goes, no kidding, what team did she play for? So these three ladies that get together, one of them's a girlfriend, one's engaged, one's married. They decided they wanted to spice up their sex life. So they said, next time we make love to our respective partners, let's wear spiked heels and black lingerie and a black mask. A week later, they got together to discuss the results. The girlfriend said, my boyfriend came through the door. He took one look at me in the stiletto heels, the black lingerie, the black mask. He went in the bedroom. We made love all night long. The engaged girl says, well, my fiance came through the door. He took one look at me in the stiletto heels, the black lingerie, the black mask. He said, you're the girl of my dreams. We made love for 3 hours. The married lady says, you see it coming, don't you? The married lady says, wow, the first thing I did, I sent my kids over to stay with my mom for the night. Then my husband came through the door. He took one look at me and he went, whoa, what's for dinner, Batman? Sorry, ladies. So a few years back, I left work one day and I realized I'd forgotten my daughter's birthday. So I ran into this toy store and I said to the clerk, the lady, I said, how much are those Barbie dolls in the window? She gives me a sigh and she says, sir, the swimming Barbie doll is $19.95, the astronaut Barbie doll is $19.95, the model Barbie doll is $19.95, and the divorced Barbie doll is $199.95. I said, what? Why is that one so expensive? This time she gives me the big eye roll and a big sigh, and she goes, sir, all the other ones come with one outfit. Divorced Barbie doll comes with Ken's car, Ken's house, Ken's computer, Ken's boat, and one of Ken's best friends. You know, I be honest with you folks, I have not always been this handsome guy you see up here. As a child and a young man, I was really ugly. All together. I was so ugly, my dad carried around a picture of the kid that came with his wallet. My mother had morning sickness after I was born. The delivery doctor came out and said to my parents, "I'm sorry, we did everything we could, but he still pulled through." Get me breathing, the doctor held me up with my feet and gave me a swat on the behind. I think the nurses got a few hits too. I felt like a piñata. Every time my dad wanted sex, my mother would just show him a picture of me. I took care of that. It's terrible. Yeah. I don't think my parents really like me though, you know. I'll tell you, the other part about being really ugly is, remember back in Halloween, I would open the door and the kids would give me candy. I get so bad. I was so traumatized as a kid, being so ugly. Eventually, I had to go see a psychiatrist. I walked in, he took one look at me, he said, "Son, go over there and lay down on my couch, face down." I don't think my parents really liked me a lot. You know, my favorite bath toys were a toaster and a radio. They bought me a baby carriage with no brakes. I hated living on top of the hill. I asked my dad one time, I said, "Dad, can I go ice skating in the lake?" He goes, "Son, wait till it warms up a bit." I was kidnapped once and they cut off my finger and sent it to my dad. He sent it back, he said, "I want more proof." They made out though because they rented out my room while I was gone. I came home from school one day in the second grade to find out my parents had moved that day. I found a policeman. I said, "Sir, can you help me find my parents?" He says, "I don't know, kid. There's a lot of places they could hide." Hey, I've had a lot of fun up here tonight. I hope I brought some laughter into your lives. Thank you so much. Thank you.